This is the Lyndsay Stafford Show.
Welcome back to the Lyndsay Stafford Show. Right now, we are doing our series featuring local legends here in Middle Tennessee. And I have a special guest today who does some great work here in Middle Tennessee, primarily Williamson County, but kind of across Tennessee. And we're going to hear about his journey going from church to wood. So with me today, I have Derek Walker of Walker in Wood Custom Woodworking. And I'm super excited to have you here.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being a part of it. So tell us a little bit about what you do and your business.
Yeah, so my name's Derek Walker, originally from Ireland, moved here 11 years ago. That's kind of where I learned the trade. So I worked with a custom woodworker on the northwest coast of Ireland, and we did kind of like, mainly like stairs, windows, doors, larger items like that. And so I was hoping to go through the apprenticeship route with him. And then in 2008, whenever I was hoping to go on, the industry collapsed in Ireland. And so he was no longer able to, say, hey, you can come on and do your apprenticeship. So I went to college. I took a year out actually between high school and college, and then went to college in Belfast, and then moved over here 11 years ago and started this off really as a side hustle. I worked in a local church in youth ministry, but obviously that didn't pay very well. And so
paid your heart.
Paid my heart, yeah, but the bills sometimes were a little bit of a struggle. So especially when we got married, my wife, was wanting different items of furniture, and she would always be wanting to buy them. And, on a youth minister's salary, I was kind of struggling in that department. So I said, you know what, I'm going to learn to make it. And I've got some tools that I used to have. So I started making stuff, and then surely but surely, people from church started asking me, hey, would you make this for me? Would you make this cutting board? Would you make this cornhole board? And that's really how it started off, just like smaller ticket items. And then over time, people would ask me to build larger pieces. And kind of as I grew in confidence, I started to take on clients here and there. And it pretty much just grew from that. I would come home from my 9 to 5, and then I'd be out in the garage until 10, 11 o'clock at night. And then I'd be out there at 4 or 5 in the morning until I went to my 9 to 5 job. So I did that for several years. And then about 4 years ago, decided to take the jump to do it full time. And that's what we've been doing really ever since.
Okay, I have so many questions. What brought you to the U.S.?
Came over here to do a master's. Okay. So originally came for school, was going to come over here for 3 years and then go back to Ireland. Came over here, did my master's in youth ministry. And that was a scholarship program. And then I was working at a local church in Brentwood, specifically with middle schoolers. And did that for 5 years. Met my wife in the third year, and 11 years later, here we are.
I was going to say it had to be her, right? Mm-hmm, it was your wife. So yeah. That's awesome. Love that story. Such a neat transition when you can marry it with what you're doing, but that's hard, right? So we talk a lot about entrepreneurship here. When you're working a full-time job, which you were, and then you're trying to build something on the side so that you can walk away, whether you intended to do that in the beginning or not, eventually that became the goal, right. I imagine. Those years are tough when you're working, 15 hours, 16 hours a day to build that.
Right.
Was the work worth it?
Now, yes. Looking back on it, it's hard. It's really tough. And I think that's the part that people don't necessarily see with business ownership, right? You see maybe the glamorous aspect of being your own boss, having your own schedule. And those things are great, but I don't think we see often the tears and the hours and the blood and sweat and the loneliness really of it to get to that place. I think that's where I struggled for a long time, was just being tired from the job, coming home, and then, being out in the garage to the job was done, essentially. And really what it took me to having a son. My son Henry is 5 now. And when he was born, I just felt this incredible guilt that I was coming home from my job and going and out and trying to pursue this. And I just didn't have, time to spend with him while he was little. And so for me, just something had to give.
And that's when you made the decision.
That's when we made the decision, yeah.
There is no perfect time ever, right? No. There's just not. So you have to kind of gauge that. But those years are really hard. And when I'm coaching business owners or, aspiring business owners and talking about those years, I have to pause and go back and go, I did the same. I had a full-time career and I grew my first business on the side of that career for about 4 years, through 4 years about 4 years before I walked away and actually grew 2 businesses while I was working full-time. And I was doing my job. So that meant I was working nights and weekends and mornings. And I remember going to my office at 6 a.m. on a Saturday and, not really coming out till 12 or 1 in the afternoon. And it's another day, right? Yeah. You're working when other people are sleeping. The loneliness doesn't get talked about a lot. The challenge of your family making those sacrifices, your wife making the sacrifice. There's one distinct memory I have of my son laying on the couch after dinner, and it was like I'd worked all day, had dinner with the family. I'm a terrible cook, so I'm sure it was like macaroni and cheese or something. And then I had to go back in my office because I had clients to coach. And I remember being so emotional looking at him and saying, I promise it won't always be like this, right? My kids were old enough to understand what was happening, and we brought them along the journey. But those days are really tough. The work is worth it at the end, but that short-term sacrifice is why so many people don't do it. Why did you keep pushing through it?
I think that I just kept pushing because I had a goal and a vision. And in the early stages too, I didn't have any mentors, to kind of guide me through. And I really didn't have like a plan, I guess. I just had a goal and a dream, and I just knew that one day it's going to be worth it. And I will say, like, starting the business as a side hustle also relieves some of the stress because, rather than quitting your job and going and pursuing something, there was some structure and stability there. So I knew that I had something to fall back on. So while it was stressful having to juggle 2 things, it wasn't so scary because I had something to fall back on. But that's kind of what pushed me through those days, was just like trying to provide for my family, one, and then just trying to pursue a goal, and one day just being my own boss.
Having that flexibility.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you were working towards that goal of working towards something else, and building something on the side that allows you that peace of mind. I remember, for me, I've always got more than one thing going on. There's always more than one thing because I like to do a lot of things, but I also, it's that security of I've got another option. I have a plan B. I have something else that I'm working on. It's not all on one thing. And I think there's something really powerful about that, but also very hard.
Yes. Yeah.
The loneliness you brought up, it's something, I don't think we've talked about that on the show before, but it is definitely there when you are an entrepreneur because you're spending all these hours alone, essentially. And even if you're working with people, you're still working. You're not with friends. You're not with family hanging out. You're working.
Yeah.
How did you get through that?
Yeah, I mean, now I'm fortunate to have a team. There's 6 of us now on the team. And so, but we didn't have that in the early stages. And I think the loneliness part of it, I was just in my shop. I was in my garage by myself, and it was getting dark, and I just had myself and my voices in my own head, and so it's lonely. It was a struggle just year after year of seeing which was great, seeing your orders come in and new clients, but knowing that it was just you to tackle it. And sometimes I would really say like the loneliness also keys in with maybe it was only me that had the vision and the goal too. So I was trying to encourage myself as well because I didn't have like a support structure other than my wife and my immediate family, but there was a lot of kind of like negative voices, a lot of naysayers too, just saying like, do you really think you could do that? Like, what if? So me trying to push through that too, and maybe being the only one that truly believed in it, I would say also led to part of the loneliness.
It's hard, and that the other folks telling you, no, you can't do this, or bringing up all the worst case scenarios and the lack of belief in you and your vision and your goal, not coming from you necessarily, but other people. It's insane to think about one comment, one thing can truly, as a human, but also when you're trying to grow a business, can just play in your head and get to you.
Oh yeah.
What tools did you use? What resources? What part of your faith played in that?
It almost led kind of like fuel to the fire too, and it almost like lit a fire under my butt kind of too. Like I'm going to prove you wrong, And so, I mean, you can get in your head and you can let that weigh you down, but almost I use that kind of as a motivation and say, that's going to drive me to work a little bit harder. So sure, you don't like to see like you post something, on social media and you're really proud of this, and then you get a negative comment or like really, but yeah, and my faith played a huge part in it too. It was kind of a full circle moment, right? Like I did this in Ireland. I had this dream of pursuing this. It fell. And here I was kind of like adventuring into that again. And it was almost like God was, paving a way for me to do this. So I had trust in that too. And thinking that, God's got me this far. Like I moved to a new country. I didn't know anybody. Never been to America before. And while that was scary, God didn't let me fall. And so I felt like God was calling me to pursue this. So I knew that if God called me to pursue other things, he never let me fall flat on my face. So why would he do it now?
If he calls you to it, he'll take you through it.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
So you just had that consistent faith that this will all work out.
Right.
So tell me a little bit about what your specialties are, totally shifting gears to what you actually do, because I've seen your work. So if you want to follow Walker and Wood on Instagram, it's Walker and Wood on Instagram. Are you the same on Facebook and everything else? Okay. Tell us a little bit about what your specialties are. Yeah.
So we do primarily custom cabinetry would be our specialty, but we are a custom wood shop. So we dabble in all facets. We do furniture, tables, doors, and recently we just did a new set design for Barstool Sports. So we do crazy things as well. Last year we did like a life-size gingerbread house for the Marriott downtown.
Amazing.
Yeah, so that was pretty fun. But
how did that come to play?
Yeah, one of my friends is actually the pastry chef there at the JW, and he said, "Hey, would you be up for a wild project? Would you be up for building a life-size gingerbread in our lobby?" And he says, "I'm going to coat the whole thing in gingerbread." So I said, "Sure." So we built a legitimate house, 20 foot tall, and they asked us to put like a 16-foot bar inside it.
Gosh.
So, and sure enough, we built it in the lobby, and they coated it with gingerbread and candy, the whole thing. And for the month of December, you could come in and have a cocktail in the gingerbread house. So
how did I miss that?
I don't know.
I got to do it.
Yeah.
You can do it again?
Well, we thought we were going to get to do it again, but we're not doing it this year, but maybe next year.
Yeah, cool.
So we do specialty stuff like that too. But our main thing is custom cabinetry, kitchens, offices, things like that.
And there's a lot of remodeling that goes on in this area, I would imagine. Do you do mostly remodels, or do you do new construction?
New construction as well. I would say 90% of our work is with the homeowner.
Yeah.
So all of our work is word of mouth. We don't do any advertising, really anything like that. Everything's come through social media. So most of it is like homeowners that find us on our Instagram page, seen something that we've done, like it, and reach out to us. And more recently, we're doing some new construction too with new builders. So we're actually doing two fully custom homes in Nashville with builders.
Fantastic. I mean, the journey is just incredible to be. We've heard this a lot, actually, where a business, as somebody starts doing something that the dream didn't work out the way they thought it would, but it comes back full circle, and it does. It's just a different version of the dream.
100%.
What are some of the hardest? It's hard to, because we go through a lot of hard stuff as a business owner. What's one of the hardest things you've ever had to go through?
I would say in the initial stage, one, taking the jump from side hustle to full time. That obviously was huge. I was in my garage at my home, and then moving to it being in a shop. So we have a shop downtown Nashville. So taking that, going from your garage to now a 3,000 square foot space and having to pay rent, things like that. That was hard. And then taking on really my first employee and releasing control. I would say that was, especially like you have employees that work for you, and we have a great team, but at the end of the day, my name's still on the product. And so I'm kind of a perfectionist. I pride myself in that. The work that we do, we're proud of it. And releasing some sort of control to have somebody else make something with your name on it, and delegating. I think delegating was also hard.
How did you get through those things? Because those are all having the responsibility of overhead of a space is a big deal. Big deal when you say I'm going to support a family, somebody else, right, and their family, and then another big deal of letting go of some of the control. What are some of the things you did to get through those?
I think that to take the jump to go to, well, one, to take the jump to go full time, I didn't take that jump before I had at least 8 to 9 months worth of orders.
Yeah.
So I wanted like a security blanket, you know, just to say that I've got work down the line coming.
Yeah.
And that kind of helped with taking the jump also to finding a space.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I see these 8 to 9 months worth of orders. That kind of lessens the worry or the anxiety going into it. And then I did reach out to some other business owners that had employees and had guys that worked for them, and just asking them the questions like, hey, what are some things that I should look out for? How did you manage that? So that's really what kind of helped me through. And once I took on one guy, it was kind of easier from then on. But the beautiful thing about how we've grown is I've never had to put out like an advertisement looking for somebody to come work for us. It's always been guys that have found us on social media and will have asked us, hey, would we be interested in taking somebody on? And when I'm taking somebody on, I'm hoping to take on somebody that, you know, can hit the ground running and has experience, and I don't have to, you know, necessarily train up. And that has been the case for most of the guys, but we just recently took on an 18-year-old guy that tried college and it wasn't for him. And he reached out and said, hey, are you hiring? And I said no, but I was intrigued. I said no, but I was intrigued at his just confidence, you know, just asking and saying, just the willingness to say, I tried college, it wasn't for me, I want to try this. And I kind of saw a little bit of himself in me. So anyway, long story short, but we got coffee and he's been with us now 8 months.
Amazing. And you're in a place now where you can do that. You can take on somebody that you can kind of more mentor.
Right.
Which feels really good as a business owner to be able to give back like that. College isn't for everybody, that is for sure.
Right.
And you've definitely built a strong reputation for what you do and the quality of work that you put out there. Scaling your business is something. It's a topic that we talk about a lot. There's business owners that are kind of a solopreneur, I call them. It's just them. They might have an admin or something, and then a team, right? Where you are actually scaling your business. Did you see that in your future when you started Walker & Wood?
It was always a goal. I never would have described myself as a businessman. I always thought of myself as I was a good craftsman. And it really got to the point of I had so many inquiries coming in, and I was beginning to turn people away because my list was, you know, my wait list was over a year long. And so I was telling clients, hey, we can do that, but it's going to be a year and a half.
Yeah.
And while some people were willing to wait because they wanted me to do it, there were many that said, I can't do that, which I completely understand.
Right.
I wouldn't want to wait that long. So I was turning away work, and it was kind of like, really, should I be turning away work, or should I begin to invest in bringing people on? And so yeah, I never really saw that in the beginning, but here we are.
Yeah, and now you've done it. What advice would you give to somebody who's looking to maybe do what you're doing, maybe not the same field, but start their own business, but they're kind of in that full time and they're not sure where to go? What would you tell them?
Yeah, I feel like I have this conversation almost weekly, just on like Instagram, just from guys that have reached out saying, I had a guy reach out last week just saying, hey, I'm just tired of my career. I have no experience in this field, but what kind of advice would you give? And really, I go back to how I started it myself, and I just kind of dabbled. I looked up YouTube videos, was really how I kind of got into cabinetry, and just tried working on stuff in my own house, and then creating like a catalog, almost creating a list of things that I could do. And then I started posting them to social media. And so my encouragement, if there's anybody that's out there trying to get into the same industry that I'm in, just go out there and start, you know, putting your hands at work, and, you know, buy a couple of tools and start making stuff, and, you know, or just reach out to somebody that's maybe in the industry that you're interested in and see what advice they have.
Sounds like you were not afraid or didn't have too big of an ego to ask for advice, mentorship, help. How big of a part did that play in helping you scale your business?
Yeah, I think part of just being a guy, I guess, is you're kind of stubborn and you don't really want to ask for help.
No, I don't know any men that are like that.
Yeah, but you know, I just have this mentality like I can figure it out, and that was true for quite a while. But if I wanted to scale, I needed some help. I needed to talk to people that, you know, were in those shoes. And so I have a local cabinet maker that I met through the church, and He's been doing cabinetry in Williamson County for years. And so he's really been a rock. He's been, whenever I'm experiencing something new or I'm treading in waters that I've never been in, I can reach out to him and know that he's going to give me some advice, whether I want to hear it or whether I don't want to hear it.
But you got to have somebody that's going to tell you the truth.
Right. And that's what I want. Yeah.
Right. That's going to give you the hard. And how important do you think it is to, as a business owner, have people in your corner that will tell you the hard truth?
Oh, 100%. I mean, you can have people that tell you what you want to hear and make you feel great, but at the end of the day, you want people to tell you the truth, and it may sting in the moment, but if that's going to benefit myself, my team and our business in the long run, then I want to hear it.
Yeah. So you went to school and then you went to grad school here. Mm-hmm. What part of that do you use in your current career of your higher education?
Not a whole lot,
but
I would say people skills, and that's one of our core values. We've 3 core values at Walker & Wood, and one is craftsmanship, the next is relationship, and then integrity. And I would feel like, being in school and working with students, I've kind of developed just a skill of relating to people, and I kind of pride ourselves that we don't want it just to be a transaction experience. Like, I just don't want to, here's your cabinets. We take time to get to know the client. And I think that's really helped us in the long run because we are word of mouth. We are, through social media. And I think people have had a good experience. Yes, they've got a great product that we pride ourselves in with the craftsmanship. But we also, take time to get to know the client. And then 3, the integrity part. I think the construction industry, gets a bad rap because we don't necessarily follow up, or we don't say what we were going to do when we're going to do it. And we're trying to change that one job at a time. So yeah, I think maybe the relationship aspect, and now taking on that younger employee, that mentorship role, I've really kind of enjoyed that.
Awesome. When you worked full time and then you were building Walker & Wood on the side, do you work that many hours now?
No.
What's it like now?
For now, I'm a morning person, and 2, I have young kids, and so I get up really early in the morning. I get up about 5 o'clock. I go work out, and then I'm usually at the shop by 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning, and then I'll work all day and kind of leave by 3 o'clock, and then be home for the kids. So
when they get done with their kind of day, afternoon, one's in school, right?
One's in school, yeah.
Yeah, and then the other one's home. Mm-hmm. So when she comes home from school, do you have 2 daughters?
I have a son and a daughter.
One son, your son is the little one.
Son is 5, and then daughter's...
I got it all wrong. Just tell me what it is.
Daughter's 1.5 years. Yeah.
That's right. So when your son comes home from school, then you're there. Does he ever come with you to the shop?
He does, every night. Well, it's hard because the shop's all the way in Nashville.
Yeah.
But if I'm doing projects, my wife's got a list a mile long, so I feel like I'm always doing projects at home, and he's at the age now where he wants to help.
Yeah.
He's good too. Like, he knows how to use a drill. Like, I'm trying to teach him little things here and there. But he's eager, and he asked me the other day, he's like, Daddy, can I work for you when I'm older?
Aww.
And I'm like, yes, absolutely.
Of course you can.
So he's interested in it. But I've kind of crafted that schedule. And it changes, like jobs take longer some days. But I've purposely tried to get up early in the morning to go into the shop early, and so that I could have quality time with the family whenever I come home. I didn't want to be, gone every evening and miss them growing up. So that's kind of been intentional.
Yeah, I love that. How big of a part does leveraging other people? I talk a lot about who, not how. So not doing everything yourself, buying back your time by hiring out things. Yeah. Talk to me about how you use that principle in your business.
Yeah, and so I've really tried to hire strategically, like when we hire guys, trying to hire guys that are not all in one specific area. So we've got a guy on our team that is great at custom furniture, doesn't want to dabble in cabinetry. I'm like, that's great. So all of those kind of orders that come in for custom furniture, that's his expertise, and he's way better at it than I am.
Isn't that amazing when you're like, I was doing so well and it was all about my product, but I hired somebody that does better?
Oh, it's great.
Yeah.
And that's my encouragement. It's like, try to hire people that are better than you.
Yeah.
It's great. And so I have full confidence in him, knowing that he's going to deliver a strong product every time. And then I've got another guy on our team that we could fully trim out a house, but he doesn't want to build furniture.
Yeah.
And then I've got some other guys on our team that want to do the cabinetry aspect, kitchens, built-ins, things like that. I've got another group of people that will do our drawings, outsource that as well. So outsourcing's huge. Outsourcing's huge. It relieves my schedule a little bit. It gives me some time so that I can focus on the things that need focused on. But it took me a long time to get there to, trying to juggle everybody's schedules, everybody's problems, everybody's, but in the long run, it's really helped us out.
Now, when this is a really topic that I really want to hit on, because you're in a trade where you started your business physically doing something, right? You're creating a product. There has to be a person doing that. I talk to a lot of business owners every month. The majority of folks in a trade don't get the business side. They don't understand how to scale, or they don't want to. They don't want to hire out. They don't want to spend the money. They don't look at it as an investment. I'm talking bookkeeper, all the things that an admin, things that don't produce revenue in the moment. You have to look at it like you're getting your time back. How have you applied that and in your unique situation? Because you obviously have. I know there's no way you've gotten to the place you are without having other people come in to support you with that. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, I would say, and a lot of the guys that are on our team currently are great craftsmen, maybe not the best businessmen, and they would admit that. And I probably was that way too, but I kind of learned and put in the work for that. But yeah, we've got some guys on our team that just want to come in and be told this is what you need to do today, and they get to leave and not have to deal with the client stuff. And so it's been great having guys on the team that that's kind of what they want to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, outsourcing things has been great. Like I used to do all my own bookkeeping, all my own stuff. I have 2 accountants that I'm like, y'all can deal with that, and it's been great because it's freed me up. And they're good I'm a firm believer in paying people to do their job at what they're good at, and you stick to what you're good at.
Okay, I'm going to say that again because that is so important and so many people don't get it. Stay in your lane and do what you're good at, and 100%. Pay other people that are great at what they do to do what they do.
Because could I do my bookkeeping and my taxes and things like that? Sure. But this is what they're qualified in, and they know a whole lot more than I do. And so I'm getting, they're doing much better at it than I could be doing at it. I have done my own social media since I've started, and now beginning to outsource some of that as well to free up some more time.
Yeah. So do you have an admin?
I don't.
Okay, so maybe that's not yet, right?
Not yet,
but you're not opposed to hiring out, right? And I think the bookkeeping and accounting. By the way, if you're looking for Connection Bookkeeping, which is a locally owned bookkeeping company, is fantastic. There's also CPA. I work with Ryan West, great CPA, local CPA. If you're looking for somebody, if you're a business owner that's looking to take those off your plate. But that philosophy of I talk about a lot, who not how, is who can do this versus how are you going to do it yourself, is the only way to scale your business. Do you think you could have done it without hiring other people?
Oh, no.
Yeah.
No. I still would have been at that place where I'm like, hey, it's just me. I mean, I'm one person. I can only do so much.
Right.
And here's my list. And so did I want to keep turning away work and saying, well, we're busy, or, taking the risk and taking the gamble and taking on some guys and working through that list?
And are you more profitable now than you would be when you were just working by yourself?
Oh, yeah.
And you also employ how many people?
There's 6 of us.
And then you have your other people that are part-timers outside of that, CPA, that you're providing work for.
Correct.
That you get to impact their lives. All of these people you get to provide.
Yeah.
And the reward from that, I have to imagine, because I feel the same way, is tremendous.
Oh, the reward's great. I mean, it's a tremendous, it can be a stress too.
For sure.
It can be a stress, but it's a huge responsibility. And I don't take that lightly. And I think about our team all the time. I just don't think of and we built such a great relationship. I just don't even think of them just as employees. Like they're dear friends. They're people that I've got to know. I've got to know their family. And so, when I go out to work, I'm not just working for myself anymore. Like I've got another driving force, and that's, hey, I've got this family that, we got to work for. We're working for them too.
Right.
So it now has become more than just me and my family. And it can be a stressor at times, but it's also just a driving force every day.
That responsibility, when you feel like you don't have a choice because you have this responsibility, it propels you forward to get up and keep doing it over and over again. Yeah. Where can we find you? I know you're on Instagram.
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram at Walker and Wood. I'm on there at Facebook as well. And then my website is walkerandwood.org. That's really where we are. I've tried the TikTok thing. I'm not great at it. So
Yeah, I haven't gotten there yet.
yeah.
Now, with do you have a waiting list right now for projects?
Yep. And our waiting list varies just because, like as I said earlier, our team is so diverse.
Sure.
So, clients will always ask me, hey, what's your waiting list like? Well, and I'm always saying, well, it depends on what you're wanting. If you're wanting custom furniture, that's different than if you're wanting custom cabinetry.
Right.
So yes, we've got a wait list, but because we've got a decent sized team, we can get that pretty soon.
Yeah, awesome. Congratulations on all your success, particularly in a trade like you're in. I don't see as many successful businesses that understand how to scale and are willing to take the risk to do that successfully. And obviously you're doing a lot of good work out there. So really appreciate you joining us today. Absolutely. Thank you for being here.
Yeah,
Thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll see you next time.